was hoping to just get some perspective from each of you on, what you like about this. What do you see as some benefits, if you have an example of something you've been able to kind of get out of the communication network here. So to start out, I guess I just wanted to go around and have everybody introduce themselves and maybe just say a few words about their role, their dealership, their location, and then we can kind of get into the questions. So, Phil, why don't we have you kick it off?
Phil Moskal, Integrated Solutions Manager at Mid-State Equipment. We're located in South Central Wisconsin here. Been with the dealership for 10 and a half years now. Handle all the precision stuff.
All right. Rudy?
So Rudy Rotz with SEMA Equipment, 6-store dealership in Southeast Minnesota. I'm the IS manager, been with the company 6 years now. So.
Okay. Arthur?
With Integrated Solutions Manager for Shoppa's Farm Supply. We're on the Gulf Coast of Texas. Been with the company for 12 years. I've been the Precision Ag Department since 2012. It was just me when we first kicked off, and now we're up to 4 people in my department. So we're growing.
Excellent. Chad?
Chad Lantz with TTG Equipment. We're a 7-store dealership in north central Indiana. I've been with the company for it's my 30th year, and been Precision Ag Manager since 1995. So,
hey, Matt.
Yeah, Matt Wright. We're Legacy Equipment, Northeast Arkansas, in Boot Hill, Missouri. 7-store location. Integrated Solutions Manager. I've been here for almost 5 years. Prior to that, I worked for a large operation. About 20,000 acres, farm manager and crop scout for that guy. So come from both sides of the fence.
Good. John?
John Marshall, Greenwood, Mississippi. Been the Integrated Solutions Manager here for 14 years. Was a previous John Deere dealer for another 15, so right at 30 years of experience with John Deere.
All right. And last but not least? Or maybe not.
Yeah, this is Kori Richter with Tractor Central. I'm driving, so you're not able to see me probably. Integrated Solution Manager for, I don't even know, 7 years. Previous parts manager, service manager. I don't know, I'm pushing about 20, I guess, somewhere in there. But we've got 10 locations. We're just north of Phil.
Perfect. Well, obviously, you guys have developed a nice network here, and certainly my experience talking with different dealers, particularly on the precision side, you hear a lot about the importance of the communication, not only within a dealership, but externally, and being able to have a network of support and your peers that you can kind of rely on and call, and whether it's for parts or advice or just troubleshooting. So the first question I had for the group was, kind of how did you kind of get involved in this? As far as the network here, was it something that kind of happened organically, or was it something that was a little more structured? John, why don't you kick it off and give me your take on this?
Well, I can tell you, I was talking to Phil one day, and he sent me a text, "You want to join this group?" So that's how, I was invited to join after they had it already established. But for me, it's a good opportunity. There's nobody within my dealership that sometimes you can reach out to and leverage some information they have. So it's a good venue to be able to ask questions and get multiple answers from all over the country to different, because everybody does something a little bit differently. So it's a good venue. Also a good place to vent frustrations, because they know what we're going through as well.
Absolutely. Chad, what's your take?
Once again, we, most of us get together once a year or twice a year with some sort of John Deere meeting, and we see each other, and we sit around the table and we have discussions, and we thought, maybe it'd be good to be able to have these discussions year round, So Phil was kind of the ringleader on forming this group. It's once again, it's a great source of knowledge. Sometimes it's faster than some of the processes that we are required to do for John Deere to get information. And like John said, this is a great form of therapy for some of us to get them frustrations out and bounce them off each other. And then, we're not targeting them towards our families and our wives and things like that. So
Sure. Rudy, how about you?
So like everybody else said, Phil's kind of the mastermind behind this. I think when he first created it, Phil, did you almost like poach everybody off the bulletin board, kind of the active users?
No. So what I did is I was looking at this because I kind of figured this question had come up, and previous work experience, I keep everything. So I have text messages from 3 years ago on my phone. And I was going back through them because I kind of had an impetus of how it started. And Jeff Buick, who didn't join us today but is also in the group, he sent me a video message, said, "Hey, do you got any other guys I want to show this to?" So back in December of 18, I sent out a text message to most of us central dealers, Corn Belt dealers, that we said, "Hey, take a look at this." And there are some that had fallen off already and some that are still with the group, and kind of over time it got too big for text message, so we moved to a different platform. And as it's gone along, we've kind of added people that are mostly non-competing dealers, so we can again share what we're doing and not have a worry that John's going to come up and poach one of my customers, or Arthur's going to come up and do something in my territory. So that way we can be open and honest with each other, because like everyone said, it's therapy, and then it's a lot faster to get stuff done, and we don't have to worry about anyone else coming in and using it against us.
Absolutely. So it looks like we just had somebody else join us.
Hey, this is Karl with Hutson. I don't have long, but I wanted here for a few minutes.
Perfect. I appreciate you making time.
You bet. Appreciate the invite.
Yeah. So Arthur, maybe I can hear from you then, since Phil really kind of summarized a nice, overview of kind of the group and its formation. I'll ask you then, what do you see as kind of your biggest benefit or takeaway from being a part of this? I know the word therapy was used a couple of times here, but wondering if there's an example or a situation that comes to mind, where we're calling on these guys, or being able to get in touch has really proved useful.
It's a great tool for that. It's another resource. I don't want to steal John Deere's line that it's another tool in our toolbox, but it absolutely is. These guys see problems that we're all going to see eventually, and we all see problems, so they're probably going to see eventually. And it's best if we're all on the same page dealing with these problems. With the John Deere's JD Link, the 2G phased out, 3G fixing to be phased out, going to 4G, and so on. That's a big deal for us as the engaged acre metric keeps us going. Just how different people use that and deal with that on a daily basis has been a huge benefit to me personally, and then for the dealership. And then as far as the therapy is concerned, Rudy's top dog on therapy with his video. That's awesome. That's all. I'll leave it at that.
Matt, how about you? What are you seeing as kind of your biggest takeaway, if there's something that stands out as far as being a part of this?
Like Phil said earlier, we're able to share stuff and don't have to worry about a neighbor dealer, picking up on a competitor. I come on about a year ago, and how I came on was through an invite from a guy that's not on the call with us, but he, me and him reached out and established a good peer relationship. Well, that's how I came on. And I guess, therapeutic, and just being able to share information and not worry about where it's going, because, I may run across a problem and see where some of these other guys, hey, they were talking about this last week, and now we're getting into the same problem, and it's an easy fix and just a way to share information. That's the best thing about it.
Perfect. Karl, how about you?
Yeah, I'd say I don't know that I can go down the therapy road, but I'm not near as much in my touch of my feelings as Phil is. But so I think for me, what it comes down to is there is a certain group of people within each dealership that just know the machine. They are the consultants of that company. And at times, let's just be honest, we don't know. Okay, we're learning new every day. And there's a percentage of people we have to go through at John Deere to be able to get to the actual person that knows the answer. And we're all dealing with pretty new stuff or new to us. Some of our businesses have a higher degree of adaptation for precision and things like that than others. So some of them are further along maybe in a planter than other people, and some people are further along in manure spreaders than another person or something like that. So we're incredibly diverse in that aspect. But whenever you hit the group text, you're talking to the best of the best in that organization on that product, and most likely they're going to get you pretty close to headed in the direction you need to be in. You might not be exactly on the problem, but they're going to get you pretty close. And that's hard to find because this AMS world is, look, John Deere doesn't always have the answers. It's a tech thing, and you're going to have to sort through it and try to figure it out with them and brainstorm with them. So when you can do it with a group of people that are experts, man, that it takes and makes you that much more efficient in your role in a big way.
And Kori, how about you?
So I stay pretty silent in the background. People probably don't hear from me at all, but I take a lot of the info, and I would, everybody said it pretty clear. I'll give an example because it's kind of what you're asking for. But a couple of years ago, we had a situation where a lot of Lantz were just freezing up, and Phil tipped us off to, hey, we got to backdate the controller software on the chopper. That's just something you're just not going to get from Deere. And so when we backdated software, we fixed our lab issues. So there's just things that, it's a very specific example, but that's kind of the thing that's going on.
So when you're thinking about, some of that information, that certainly you guys are going to either hear, whether it's communicated directly from Deere or it's things that you need to troubleshoot independently. Are you guys generally, pretty proactive in, sharing something within the group? Say, hey, I came across this, or I figured, this out. I think, you'll probably come across this maybe with a customer. Here's something that might be a good FYI. Or is it, a little more, kind of reactive where you guys are going to reach out, for some advice or for some input on a particular problem? Phil, what's your take?
I think it's a little of both. To be honest, that's why I added all the guys from the South, because they're the unofficial software testers for John Deere. They hit the fields first and they find all the bugs. No, just kidding. But no, it's kind of both. We'll ask questions and say, hey, I got this problem. What are you guys seeing? And maybe one of us saw it a week ago and remember what to do. Or I know Karl's done a couple times, said, hey, here's a heads up. This software does not work. Do not do this. So, he's being more reactive, but it's helping all of us to be proactive. And I think that's kind of how this is supposed to work, is one person may encounter the problem, but it helps everyone else figure it out or get through it.
For you guys, for you guys more in the southern part of the country, what perspective do you bring? Because I know it's a pretty diverse group here. Certainly, different cropping styles, different, climates, different seasons. Arthur, from your perspective, getting you bring that southern experience, but obviously you're connecting with a lot of guys from the Midwest as well to get some advice from them.
Well, as far as what we see down here, we're first in lots of things as far as our crop rotations. We're first to harvest. Our corn's tasseled. We got ears on on the stalk already. We'll be the first to harvest. We always are because of our location, of course. These guys are probably, it's typically been a 2 to 5 year that they've got a head start on us in the technology adaptation than our guys. So it's great to. I'm seeing stuff that they've already dealt with and fixed and that kind of thing. But as far as like, hey, you may want to check this on your combines or sprayers or what have you. We're typically first in dealing with that, and we're not. Being down here, we're not frozen 3 to 6 months out of the year either. So we're running 365 if it's not wet. Now they don't have to deal with hurricanes, but that's a different ballgame too. And the bell pickers, we just had a big meeting yesterday. I was hoping Dusty was going to be on here because there's a big discussion in the cotton belt about plastic in the cotton and building of plastic in cotton is such a problem that it's starting to become a bad reputation for the U.S. cotton market. So that was a 3.5 hour meeting yesterday. And, that's something a lot of these guys don't have to deal with because they don't farm cotton up there.
Anybody else want to kind of comment on the geographic aspect and kind of what they're seeing versus, their area and somebody else's?
This is John again. Of course, like I said, we're down in the South, and all these guys are what I would call top of the line at what they do. And even though we might not do the same things, we raise cotton and they raise canola. I've never, besides going up there once or twice, I've never seen a canola plant but a couple times. But just because we're different, we can learn from things that they experience. Things they see, even though we don't have the same type of equipment, we typically will wind up seeing the same kind of problem somewhere down the road. So, we lean on each other a lot, even though we are, different parts of the country and do different things. And just like Arthur said, some things, the South is always 5 to 6 years behind the Midwest as far as adoption of some of the technology. So, that's always good that when we start adopting to it, they've already experienced it, so we can lean on them a little bit. And we are their test for software.
Yeah. Yes, we are that.
And this is Karl. I don't mind chiming in on that one too. I'll say this, that I feel like the majority of the people on the call were all put into situations where we just don't know, because it's either something new from John Deere or something we haven't really been around or something like that. And so if I've got a few months, or a couple months ahead, leap on Phil or somebody else, and I run across something, or something along those lines, I know instead of him tripping over that rake in front of a customer or whatever, just to pitch that out there, hey, don't update this or don't do that or whatever, because, we're all going through the same learning curve as John Deere is learning how to be a technology company and we're learning how to be that supportive technology, partner. And so I think more of this is going to happen in some regards, or we're just going to keep tripping over the same rakes and keep falling on our faces in front of these customers.
Sure. So obviously, you mentioned kind of the problem solving element there and the opportunity here to, share insight, whether it's regionally or just more specifically within your dealership. Anything that any of you maybe have, implemented or learned through this communication that you guys have kind of taken and then implemented, in your dealership on the precision side, whether it's service side or a product aspect or something, in terms of training or, education that you learned through kind of the contact with the group and found out something that, somebody was doing. And again, Phil, you mentioned, the non-competitive aspect, but certainly there's got to be some idea sharing here from a business standpoint that you guys are doing.
I know they got the current Light Up the Fleet program going on, and we're all trying to figure out how to get, because Deere insisted on getting some signed POs and making sure everything is by the book so that customers understand what's going on and we understand what's going on. And so we kind of all shot back at each other of, hey, how you guys doing this, and how you making sure you're getting consent and everything else like that. And so, that was kind of the thing. Well, we're all doing pretty much the same way or variations of the same thing to make sure that our I's are crossed and T's are dotted. So,
Rudy, how about you? Anything that comes to mind? I mean, obviously, you guys, most of you have a fair amount of experience here, but you're certainly probably dealing with, some newer employees, younger employees that maybe aren't as experienced. Anything out of this that's kind of been beneficial with kind of a management standpoint?
Well, I think, us as IS departments, our department managers, I mean, we're not just responsible for the IS department, but it seems like we're responsible for making sure the sales department is, competent in what they're selling. So it seems like a lot of us have some, if you want to call them like test programs in the works right now. I know I had mentioned to the group that I'm doing this SEMA certified program, and a lot of guys said, well, keep us posted on how it works and, what the outcome is if, because Deere has this big mainstreaming push, but they can't tell us what mainstreamed is in a dealership's eyes. So, this is like one step for SEMA to be mainstreamed, is to get these salesmen, kind of up to snuff on what they're supposed to be selling. So that's why, we're doing that with sales and service and parts. So like I said, it's kind of a test program right now that I started, and I know a lot of guys were curious as, to how it goes. And, every dealership is different, but we all share what we're doing to try and achieve the same goal. So it's just kind of like there's a lot of follow-ups within our group on, okay, this worked or it didn't go anywhere. So that's what's nice about this group is, we're just so open about what we're doing because, like Phil had mentioned, we're not really competing dealers. Some of us are pretty close. We might butt orders, but we're not to the point where we'd say we're competing. We're not going to talk about what we're doing. So I think as a management standpoint, we keep each other really well informed on what we're doing and what we're trying and what the results are.
Chad, do you have any thoughts on that subject?
No, I think we do a very good job of communicating business strategies with each other just because we don't compete. I can remember asking a question a while ago, about a process that I was looking to implement, and some of the guys says, what, I did that and it didn't work, and here's why. And it allowed me to tweak before I even launched, so to speak. So it made me a little bit more successful. And then, even just with this group being able to, once in a while, you run out of a product, hey guys, got any receivers? Yep. It's easy to grab, that we help each other with new inventory and even used. So, it's a great.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think like what Chad said with inventory, with this group, we can actually get the inventory from our other dealers in this group faster than we can get it from Deere. There was one time I needed an activation, and Scott, who's not in the group anymore, he bailed me out. I think it was like a Friday night at 11 o'clock. I had ordered it from Deere that morning at 8, and it still wasn't a good activation. But Scott just said, we'll figure it out later. Here's the code. Let's get it going. So it's great that, not only are we working together on the dealership side, but we're working together on the business side to keep the products we need in the customer's hands.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great example, just of kind of that efficiency gain here and having somebody to call on. It's almost sounded like an example of a customer calling you, at 11 saying, hey, I need this done. And if you can kind of call on somebody here in the group to say, hey, I need some help, and you're going to get a response, that's pretty beneficial. Last question I had, and I'll let you guys get back to work, but I've been fortunate to be a part of a couple of different dealer peer groups, and it's always interesting to kind of see that dynamic. And it's, as you guys know, you kind of get out of it what you put into it. Just, from a bigger picture perspective, what advice do you guys have based on your experience, with this group for other precision dealers, that, may wonder on, whether or not it's worth, developing a group like this or, having a network, an external network, whether it's their brand or other brands, on kind of the benefit of doing something like that. John, maybe I'll start with you if you've got a thought or two.
Well, like I said before, there's nobody in my dealership that does what I do. So when I have pain points, there's nobody here that I can go really talk to that has experienced it. So this group is really good at giving you that feedback. They're honest, and they'll tell you, just like what mentioned earlier. Hey, I tried that. That's not going to work. Or hey, yeah, this is what I did, and it's been very successful. So, this group has been really good as far as getting us information that we need to make our business better. Now, yes, it does need to be another group, sort of, if somebody's going to create one, keeping in mind, like Phil did, try not to get neighboring dealers involved. Now, we have some, of course, through buyouts and so forth, that we are neighbors in some cases now. But we've worked well in the past together, and I think we can continue to do that, even if some of us get a little closer.
Mm-hmm. Matt, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, pretty much what John said. Just keeping everybody together, and make sure what you can share is shareable. Trusting everybody. Like I say, it's a good way to vent. It's a good way to share information, problems, and I've seen some stuff on this group so far that's saved my department some time and money. I mean, time is money for us, and hey, I can pass some information on a fix off to one of the consultants that's out in the field. Hey, I've had this problem. Well, like somebody said earlier, you need to backdate this software because I seen it on here last week. So it's really been great for me.
Good. How about you, Arthur?
It's just a great resource, and you typically get a timely answer, where sometimes with Deere you don't, or they are aware of a problem and they're currently working on it. And these guys have already seen it and fixed it, and we can get on down the road, save some money and time.
Good. Karl, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think these guys are all over it. I mean, I think we're all in a niche position. We're between sales and between aftermarket, and trying to support our entire business as this consultant and this know-it-all expert on products that we've never seen before, or products that we're trying to get moved through the business and out of our hands in this term of mainstreaming. And somewhere in the hustle of that, we find that we are a limited staff of people and big organizations that are trying to do this, and we get hung up in the typical frustrations of that and needing to get advice, process advice, product advice, or something like that from someone in a like role. And you don't have that in your organization. And I think the other part of it too is that, my assumption, and I do not know this, but my assumption is that a lot of the people on this group text are dinosaurs in their role. Okay. What I mean by that is this, that the life expectancy of an IS manager is not good. Okay. I mean, go to any Deere meeting and it's like, oh, that's the new guy. That's the new guy. Okay. And so when you look at just what the vetted information that's coming through this chain, they're solid. And I'd care to say that these people have been in these roles pretty long, or a pretty good while, especially, well beyond the national average of an IS manager. And I think that, that speaks a lot of kind of the birth of this probably is that, when there wasn't a resource within your dealership, you had to create something, right? In order to have longevity in the role and provide the information and create value. And so I think it just came out of more of necessity and resourcefulness in that aspect.